Oh,
Hi, Ralph.
who else is on here? Let me see. I'm not seeing any others yet, but I see that there are three participants. Let me, there. So you're accessing from the office, huh?
I am. I am.
That's good. Well, no, I'm sorry about the confusion on the on how the alternates were handled last week. That's all on me.
No worries. We got it all straightened out.
Yeah, and looks like we'll be one short for the meeting, so we'll get somebody designated to vote for the whole meeting, and then we'll have one of the mini grants that we're voting on has a recusal. So,
Okay.
but we can take care of that with a probably just a motion on the front end, or I don't think we need to do a motion for each one, do we? You think just one motion for both?
To
To for both of the recusals and the absentee? Or
just
do you
one.
want me to, huh? Yeah. Was somebody else on because it said three participants?
I see someone in the attendees, but I don't know. I've not seen that name before. It says 4-2.
Nancy Fortune.
Is that who that is?
Yeah, she's presenting on behalf of the upstairs at the
Oh, that's right. Upstairs at the stack.
yeah. And I sent her a link for the just, to log in. So,
Okay. I'm going to promote her to a panelist now, and then she can mute until she's ready to talk so I don't forget.
okay.
You. Hello, can you hear me now, Ralph?
Yes.
Great. It's me and Nancy. Hi. Okay, so
Thank you.
no worries. So we're just trying to figure out getting here we go. So we can share the PowerPoint. Is this it right
Not
here?
yet.
Okay. So but you can.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So you're just going to come down here to share. You go to your PowerPoint, it'll come up on the screen.
Great.
If you have
Thank
any
you.
problem, let me know.
All right. Thanks, Lauren. I
But
came
we,
down to the MAC, Ralph, because I was so because they agreed to help me because I was
She's
so
got network, she's got support, she's got
yeah, I've got network, I've got support, and they're helping me set this all up. So
okay. We'll, we've got a few of the usual details to get a meeting started, and then we put you up high.
right. I saw your agenda.
So we'll get right back to you. Okay. Just waiting for others. Now, is Susan Watkins still going to join?
Yes.
Okay. Just separately. She's logging in separately. So,
Yes.
okay.
She's logging in from her home.
Okay. No problem there. But she won't be appearing in back on your screen then. Hey, Mark, you're muted.
Oh no.
Hi, Ralph.
Okay.
Why isn't this working?
No, you're fine,
Cannot.
Nancy. Can you hear us?
Um,
Becca, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you, Nancy. It doesn't say that you're muted, so
No, I
Oh, that
should be
was
good,
Nancy.
yeah. Because I can't figure out how to mute on this one, so.
well, as long as you don't say anything nasty or wrong.
Don't say anything you wouldn't say in public.
But she knew that from the last 8 years.
Can y'all hear me now?
Hmm.
Good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I was dead in the water. The audio wasn't working, the video wasn't working. I don't know. Well, let's see if the video works. Video still doesn't work. Cannot start video. Please select another video camera in settings. This is the same laptop I always use.
Huh. Well, we can hear you.
Well, at least we got that.
Yeah, it's like you flashed up for just a split second and then it went away.
Video. Select a camera. Do I have other cameras? Participants. I don't even see settings.
Sometimes if your webcam on your laptop stops working, rebooting the computer will fix it. But
Okay,
then,
I'll try that.
all right, but are you the host? I'm not sure if you would want to
Oh,
leave if you're the host.
Right.
Danielle's the host
Oh,
of my.
okay, okay. Yeah, you might try rebooting. I think she's rebooting.
This is
We'll
why
come
it's
back.
good to start a few minutes early and get any glitches ironed out. And Mark, I'll say this again, but I'm hoping we can get this meeting over with in an hour or so. So
Oh, great.
it's not going to be
Okay.
a marathon like last time.
Yeah. Well, it's good. It's good that we're meeting, frequently,
Yeah,
this time of year.
we're,
Do we do
we're in,
weekly for the foreseeable future and through the
well,
process?
we'll talk about that. It's the
Okay.
last thing on the agenda. Talking about maybe switching around some dates till got a clearer idea of well, and also to give the board more time to do some grading because some people are a little behind. But we also have time. We're not up against a quick deadline here. We've
Yeah.
got a few weeks to.
I've graded all the mini grants,
Mm.
so I figured that would be good. That would be good for tonight, and probably about maybe half or a little over half through the regular.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, and that's pretty typical of the board. It looks like the ones that people knew something about, they went ahead and hi Kenzie.
Hello.
We're gonna we'll start here when we get a few more on.
Hello.
Hi, Lisette.
how was that?
How's everybody?
We're good.
Good.
Wonderful.
You got your access issues squared away?
I think so. At least I have everything straightened out. I'm pretty sure. So
Okay.
thank you.
Okay. Do we have somebody else waiting to get on? I'm on a laptop, Danielle, so I can't see everybody, but I'm seeing 5, but then it says 8 participants. So
Yeah, neighbor Nate is in our attendees, and Jason is actually still in attendees, but he's allowed to talk. He should have privileges to talk.
I hope I have privilege. Can you hear me?
There you go. I just want to make sure.
Fantastic. Okay, that was rough being muted all last week.
I'm
I
sorry
had so much
about
to say.
that.
No, I'm glad that worked out.
Well,
It's a good day when this really connected. Said, I'm joining an attendee and it's *6. I did unmute me. There was an option left.
okay, now you're cutting out a little bit, Jason.
Hopefully it keeps some working.
Jason,
We
you're
can
cutting
hear
out.
you,
Try to
Mayor
see if it's any
Puzzle.
better. Do I need to mute my computer perhaps? Is it doing that thing?
I don't know, but no, that last sentence was fine, but before that,
Okay, well, if I'm going to speak, I'll take you off speaker if this is better. But I don't have a microphone, so shouldn't be a feedback issue. I have a computer mic,
I'm not hearing.
that's usually what causes the feedback.
Yeah, no feedback. But
Okay, so we're good. Excellent.
okay, I see now we're up to 10 participants.
There's Peter. Hold on, I'm moving Peter over.
Hi, Ren.
Hey, Ralph.
Yeah.
Before we delve into things, and this came up a few meetings ago. Now that we have multiple alternates, have we come up with a protocol for assuming we don't? Because we're not going to have Neil. We're not going to have Neil tonight, at least, right?
Right. We're not going to have Neil, and we're going to have a recusal on one of the mini grants.
So have we had since we've got at least two alternates on tonight? Do we have a protocol for who's going to be voting
Yeah, I'm
proxy?
I didn't handle that right last week. I'll talk about it here in a little bit. But it needs to be handled by a motion and a vote of the group.
Okay.
But we'll get to that here in just a second. I think we have enough. Is Gerald Mitchell on? Not seeing him.
I haven't seen him pop on yet.
Hey, y'all.
There he is.
Marcus. Hi, Judith.
Good evening, everyone.
We're about to start. Well, let's go ahead. It's 5:02. Let's go ahead and call this special meeting of the match board to order. And let's start with the roll call, please, Becca.
Ralph Broughton,
Here?
Kinsey Watts,
Here.
Rin Almitra,
Here.
Mark Lee,
Here.
Marcus Medina.
Here.
My understanding is Neil Minch is excused.
Yes.
Peter Summers,
Here.
Lisette Casey,
Here.
Gerald Mitchell. Not on yet.
I know he's going to join us.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll note when he joins. And Jason Wells.
Here.
Okay.
Okay. At this point, we will determine the voting status. We don't have Neil. And Jason was going to be the alternate last week when we had all the technological issues. So I'll entertain a motion to make Jason as the voting alternate for this meeting. And I was gonna have Gerald included because he wasn't last week, but he's not on yet. So we know we're gonna vote on the mini grants, and we have a recusal for one of the mini grants for the drum circles. Mark Lee is not going to vote on that. So I would entertain a motion to designate Jason Wells as the voting alternate for the meeting and for Lisette Casey to be to vote on the drum circles grant. Is there a motion?
I'll move that Jason Wells be the voting alternate for the duration of the meeting and let's let Casey be the voting alternate for the grant, any grants in which we'll need to have board recusals.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Thanks, Kinsey. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right?
Hold up a hand.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, think we're good there. Approval of agenda, you got it sent early and then later, but you got it twice, so are there any issues or need for revision? If not, a motion to approve the agenda. Anyone?
I'll move to approve the agenda as written.
Thanks, Peter.
I'll second, Jason.
Thanks, Jason. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Uh, in the agenda, so we didn't have to move it around after the fact, we moved up our tier 2 invitees from the upstairs of the stack application. Nancy Fortune and Susan Watkins. I see Nancy. Is Susan with us?
Susan just joined.
Oh, okay. So
Oh, she's
Yeah, I'm here.
waiting.
I'm here.
Okay.
I don't know why
Okay.
my video is not working, but I'm here.
okay. Well, with that, we will give you the floor. Feel free to tell us about your grant for appreciate if you can hold it to 5 to 7 minutes, and then we'll have questions behind that. Thank you.
Great,
Go.
thanks, Ralph. I'm going to try to share this PowerPoint. Can you guys see it?
Not yet.
Oh, let me get Laura for a second. Sorry. I thought I had it.
Actually, Kinsey also has it. There's a problem.
Okay, Laura's coming to help me make sure that this. So
If this doesn't work, what you sent me this afternoon, Nancy, I sent to Kinsey Watts on our board, and she can share it if you're unable to.
Okay, so go to here, and we're gonna go to share.
Oh, here, I might have it here.
Hang on a second, y'all. Hang on. And that's it right there. Hit that, hit share.
So easy.
Everybody else should be able to see it now, and you can run through it.
Great. Can
All good
everyone?
now, y'all?
Yes.
Okay, yay!
Perfect.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
Y'all play nice.
All right. All right. So I'm Nancy Fortune, and I know most of you, I think, and most of you know me, and Susan Watkins is co-chair. And the first slide just shows how beautiful this space really is and how appropriate it would be for a community center. The next slide is the issue. I think why we're invited tonight is that we know that $20,000 is a lot of money to ask for. So we want to explain to you why we think it's worth you supporting this investment for our community. And so we'll see. Susan and I are volunteers, and we back in November, Natalie asked us to step in to help realize the dream of a community center and make it a reality here in Manitou. Susan and I had worked on the Hiawatha Gardens, so that's why Natalie thought we would be good for this project as well. So Susan and I really spent years working on the Hiawatha Gardens to convert that to a community center. Unfortunately, it did not work out because of flooding issues. So through our work on Hiawatha Gardens, we knew that the community had a very strong desire for a community center. We had multiple community engagement opportunities, and it just came back over and over again how much the community really wanted a dedicated community center. And we also know that space is limited for community things here in Manitou. We do have multiple the MAC provides community space, the community congregational church, the library, et cetera, but none of them operate as a dedicated community center. So let's see. So the use, when St. Andrews was deconsecrated last spring, the diocese here in Colorado approved St. Michael's, which is an Episcopal church in Colorado Springs, to work with the community to see what the building could be used as instead of selling the building. So that was really a huge plus for the city of Manitou Springs. So the two things they came up with was downstairs, they would continue the community pantry, and upstairs would be used as a community center. And they had multiple community engagement as well to come up with those uses as well. So the downstairs will be the food pantry, will continue as a food pantry, but they're also including now health and mental health services there. And I wanted to emphasize that the match dollars will not, any match dollars that we receive will be for the upstairs only, not for the downstairs mission. The upstairs can be a venue for multiple community uses, such as music performances, yoga, art exhibits, weddings, booking, book clubs, Boy Scouts events, community potlucks, et cetera, and we've agreed to partner with St. Michael's to make the upstairs supportive of those events and activities. So let's see. Our partnership will entail, first and foremost, a launch committee, and our first launch committee meeting will be tomorrow. And our intent is to create a nonprofit that will control the space, the upstairs space, and total programming for that space. And part of that is just to create something of a wall between the church and the community. Not that the St. Michael's has been an outstanding partner with us, but we wanted to ensure this community that it was not a church-run entity, it's going to be a community-run entity. And they've agreed to lease the upstairs space to this nonprofit for $40,000 for the first 360 days. And again, it will be community focused and operated. So our funding is, this will be the, if we get this match grant, that will be the seed money to get things started. And then we'll go after other funding as well, such as match, or give grants, Colorado gives grant donations, user fees, and so on. And we want to make everything very affordable for the community itself, if not free for other nonprofits. But we don't want to be in competition with places like the MAC and the community congregational church, and so on and so on and so on. So we want to create partnerships with all of those. So why should the MACH board support this request? It's a proven need. In your packet that was submitted with the grant application itself, I include the results of the community engagement that was held by for St. Andrews. And I attached that, and you can see all the things that the community has come and say that there's a need for. And I want to emphasize here is that we've talked with both the city, who rents out the city hall, as well as Natalie and the MAC, and they also confirm that there is a need. There can be more events. There's more requirements than there are places to have things here in Manitou. The community excitement and expectations are very high currently. We are, let's see, can't remember any. So it's just, we can capitalize on that excitement and expectations. And it's not a one and done. It's every day. It would be a big return on investment if the match board invests in this, because it'll continue over time. And, it'll also be a venue for match events, other match supported events. So we think that there absolutely would be a great investment, and it's essential. It's very essential for us to have seed money to get this up and running, because we've got basically $4,000 now that came out of the arcade fundraiser. that that is the initial seed money, but that's it. And as you can see from our proposed budget for the year is $55,000, and $40,000 of that will just be rent to St. Michael's. And they're using it for things like capital improvements and heating and cooling and so on, which is very expensive. They were estimating about $700 a week just for heating and cooling of the building. So we really need that seed money to get things up and going. And we anticipate starting in the second quarter of 2026. And if we don't have the funding, it's going to be really hard for us to meet the conditions of the lease that we expect to have with St. Michael's. So in summary, upstairs of the stack has the potential to be one of the most significant additions to Manitou Springs culture and heritage in years. And I would say really it might be the most significant addition since the MACH board stood up and started giving grants out. And it seems like a total natural of a project to be funded by MACH in that it is very culturally oriented, and also it would be preserving a historic building, helping to preserve a historic building in Manitou Springs. And without the MACH's help to get things started, we may not be able to capitalize on the community's excitement and growing support. So we need to really strike while the iron is hot. And with that, Susan, did you have anything you'd like to add?
You're muted.
Yeah, you're muted. Oh,
Yeah.
there you go.
No, I think you covered everything we need to cover. Thanks, Nancy.
Okay.
Happy
Sorry,
to answer
I
questions.
kind of stumbled through that, but what questions do we have?
Anybody from the board?
Hey, Jason, I've got a question, just a clarification. Thank you both for taking the lead on this. This is exciting stuff. Glad to see it happening. And I guess I'm just curious about the state of the lease. So currently, there's no lease has been executed as of yet, but do you have an option in place, or what is the trigger point for the lease execution?
Yeah, sure. That's a great question.
The long term or the first year commitment, when does that kick in? Where are things at with that? And do you have an unalienable right to execute a lease if and when the funds are available?
Yes, Susan and I have been meeting with St. Michael's, who owns the building or manages the building for the diocese over the past couple of months. And we do have a firm commitment from them to have a lease started in April. We don't have it in place yet, but I have no reason to believe that they won't hold up their commitment. They're excited about this partnership as well.
So the objective is for a 360-day lease, I heard you say, but it would be commencing April 1?
Yes.
Okay, so it would run from April through March of next year.
March of next year, yes.
Okay.
Do you anticipate that lease would then continue year to year, or is this going to be an annual expense need, or is this a one-time?
No, we absolutely anticipate that this will continue as long as we're successful in the first year, and we we anticipate being successful because, again, the community seems very much behind this and wants this. We anticipate that this will be an ongoing lease. We've asked for the 360-day lease simply so that it gives us an opportunity to get up and running.
And we know that the lease amount will increase next year, probably to 52,000, they've said. So yeah, it's going to be expensive to lease.
Wow. I've got a couple more here, and hopefully some of the other board members will also come in with a few. But I noticed in your budget that you included some things like expenses related to equipment. Obviously those are startup type needs, but we've been a little leery on MACH with funding things like equipment because of ownership issues of who's going to maintain it, who's going to be responsible for it. But I did see that you have some other money sources, and I'm hoping personally that it would make it easier from our end if it were not looking like that match money might be going to buy equipment. You see
And we,
where I'm going with that?
sure, we can stipulate that now, Ralph. I think that our biggest need at this point in time is for the rent. And that is, as we said, $40,000. So if we were to get the $20,000 from match, that will pay, we can stipulate that that will go entirely toward rent.
And you referred to it as durables, I think, in the budget. I think the durables part is where once we get to the point of making decisions, that there might be some concerns there. I noticed you mentioned the Give campaign, and obviously the Give campaign is over for this year. So you're talking basically about next year's Give campaign, correct?
That is correct. In this summer, that's why we are really, I won't say we really need the match dollars now to get this kick started, because it's seed money basically to get us going. And we know that both the Colorado Gives and the Give campaign aren't until next summer and fall. So that, we'll capitalize if we're successful. We believe success will breed success. And oh, by the way, we've already had 2 or 3. We've got a ballroom dancing club that's going to be starting there once a month. And they're going to be paying some use fee. We have a wedding that's tentatively scheduled, and we have a bat mitzvah that is tentatively scheduled. So we do know that there's some need out there. So we believe that we can, over time, make enough to make this a good go, but we'll need this to get us kick-started.
Will you have a staff person who would be going out and recruiting people or events, or what's the plan there?
We plan to get a website up and running that will solicit. We've got we'll use Facebook. There is a staff person at the church, Nancy Hawley, if anyone knows her. She's been hired by St. Michael's to work there. She will support the pantry and she's currently supporting, she's been taking these reservations or these requests for events or activities so far, but I've also received several from folks. So.
Okay, last thing from me, and then we'll see if there are others. I know I've heard that there's an issue about restrooms and access, and I understand that that may not be as your problem as much as it is St. Michael's problem, but what's being done about restrooms?
Sure, there are 2 restrooms downstairs currently, and the church has had and continues to have, it's just not operational currently, a lift from upstairs to downstairs, but that will not be adequate. So the church is making strides to build a restroom upstairs. When it will be done, I can't say, but they asked us what our main needs were, and that was our number 1 main need, is to get a restroom upstairs.
Anybody else on the board with a question?
I had a question.
Jason, again,
No,
Peter,
please.
go ahead. Well, I'll go ahead first if you don't mind, just because it kind of segues from what Nancy was discussing in terms of reservations already being secured. The use fee estimate for 2026, I assume that's based on 3 quarters, and that's I would imagine, and you can clarify, that's probably a low end figure based on what you're perceiving for future years. And I guess I'm just curious, I did hear you say in passing that nonprofits might be able to use a place for free. Weddings are, I would imagine, going to pay a premium for something like that. How's the fee schedule, or have you gotten that in depth yet in terms of how the fee schedule would work? And can you speak a little bit to how the use fees would be structured and where that 8,000 stands relative? I know long-term projections are going to be kind of difficult before you can get off the ground, but can you give any insight on where that 8,000 stands relative to your long-term hopes or expectations, and how the fee schedule would work, if it's a sliding scale, or has that been discussed?
Sure, we haven't set that yet. That is a task that we'll be having our launch committee work on. But we have gone to the city, got their fee schedule. We've talked to the MAC what their fee schedule is. We'll talk to the community congregational church, get theirs. Let's see, there's someone else I thought we had. But our intent is to serve the citizens of Manitou Springs first and foremost. So nonprofits. My anticipation will be that there will be no charge. For instance, I've talked to the yoga folks that are here at the MAC, and there is interest by them to have additional yoga classes at St. Andrews. And we've talked about briefly, because Susan and I we don't feel we're currently in the position to make all the decisions. So that's why we wanted to get this launch committee up and running. And as I said, the first meeting will be tomorrow for more a little bit more input into decision making for the community center from the community. So we will have in the next, I don't know, month, we'll have a good fee schedule worked through, and I suspect it'll mirror like what the MAC does and so on. And that, as you know, is sliding scale, or depending on if you're nonprofit or for-profit, if you're selling tickets, et cetera, how the fee schedule will be determined. Does that answer your question, Jason?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Peter, some
I mean, I guess save for there being an estimate, but I know it's probably a little premature for that, to flesh that out.
Question then off of that. I understand that you're asking for 20,000 from the match, and that the first year was 40. My phone may have cut out. How much did you raise with the arcade?
Well, for the community center part, we've gotten $4,000 that the MAC is holding on to for us until we get everything ready to go. But there was significantly more. What was it, Susan? About 15K, I think, was raised by the arcade fundraiser, but most of that is going to start physical and mental health services downstairs for the community.
Right. Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. Not for the upstairs community center itself.
Correct.
Understood.
And they're two different entities, although I've been talking with Marion Romerdahl about it, and we do intend to partner. But yeah, they're set up as a nonprofit, and they're going to have their own lease for the downstairs, and we're going to have our own lease and set up. We'll run the programming upstairs.
Gotcha. As I see, a solid accounted for 24,000 so far of the 40. What kind of other avenues are you pursuing for raising the rest?
We're looking at, excuse me, some rents. For instance, this ballroom dancing group is coming in, I think, once a quarter, and they've actually agreed to pay $500 to rent, which just shocked me that they were willing to pay that much, but great, and that's very preliminary because there was no fee schedule, but they agreed. So, super. So rent, if an entity comes in and wants to sell tickets, there'll be, we'll look for a cut of the ticket sales. There'll be additional grant opportunities that we're going to pursue, such as the Give campaign. Additionally, there'll be donations. We'll do another fundraiser, and so on. So we've got some ideas and to get the additional funds to cover our $55,000, our total of $55,000 budget for the year.
And we have talked with the church to do a joint fundraiser with them in April, a community fundraiser that we will jointly sponsor with the church.
Awesome. I appreciate it.
Anybody else on the board?
Hey, Nancy, Marcus here.
Hi, Marcus.
I know you mentioned earlier you're thinking you're going to be able to kind of be a buffer between Manitou community and St. Michael organization in Colorado Springs. So do you feel like if there was a potential like LGBTQ event, it would be able to happen there?
Absolutely.
or,
Yeah,
or
because
all
we've
the
got,
DEI things that we like in Manitou?
yeah, absolutely. And they, the Episcopal Church is very supportive of that issue in particular. But we did have lengthy discussions, as Susan will tell you, because just submitting this grant raised the anti-discrimination issue. And so we've had lengthy discussions on what we would be allowed, and they have agreed with our anti-discrimination policy that we put in this grant. So we will not be limited.
Thank you.
And I will tell you, Susan and Nancy, that one thing we're unsure about from our end is that, well, we know that we've got more than $254,000 requested in grants, and last year we were able to give somewhere in the vicinity of 160. So for some grants, it comes down to trying to decide, okay, do they get full funding? Do they get three quarters? Or do they get a half? If you were to get a fraction that's less than full funding, do you see that as being a major problem, or would it just mean that you would have to redouble your other fundraising efforts? Or
Yeah, I do see it as a major problem. That said, I don't think we're going to quit. But I do think it would be a major problem not to get it. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but it's the truth.
it's an answer. It's better than just saying, I don't know. No, I appreciate your
No,
being straight about it.
we
Yeah,
know,
we just,
we know we need the money, because we just don't have anything else right now, and it's gonna take us a while to get the launch committee and everything structured or get their work done. So we need it.
yeah.
Like,
And I think, as I've said, I think that we just don't want to kill the momentum that we currently have. So if we can get this up front, it'll just really help us capitalize on the momentum that we've got within the community to get this up. Because to get started and then not be able to make the rent and just, failure to thrive, I think would just be tragic. This is such an outstanding opportunity that we've been given here. So I just really would think that it would help. And I just see this as kind of a unique ask.
Understand. I hope you do realize the time frame that we're still a few weeks away from major decisions on this, and it will go to council on March 10th. And they at a work session, and then they will vote on the officially vote to accept or not our recommendation on March 17th. So that's the earliest that you would know for absolutely certain.
Yeah,
But
I'm very familiar, Ralph.
okay, just making sure, making sure.
Ralph, do we need to be at the work session in case there are questions about this, or do you all handle all the questions?
Normally we do. For a request such as this, I could see a scenario where we might be asking you. I
I'll
wouldn't,
be there for sure.
I wouldn't know at this point, but
Okay,
I would say it's definitely at the work session a possibility.
okay.
I did have an additional question if you are.
Okay.
With the 40,000, is that a monthly that you're paying the lease, or is that a lump sum at the front to secure the 360 days?
Yeah, no, good question. We don't have a lease in place yet. That is planned, and I plan to ask for monthly payments.
Heard. Thank you.
Can I pop in one more question? Sorry, Ralph.
Certainly, Ren.
Okay. This perhaps isn't a fair question, and feel free to just say no thanks. I don't know the answer. Do you happen to know what the church was planning on doing? Like, should Manitou not move in with the community center? Do you know what the church's options would be for that space? Is it just going to sit empty aside from the downstairs being used, or?
I do not know.
That's fair. Yeah.
their intent was to do a community center. We, again, to be blunt, we didn't think that a church-run community center would necessarily thrive in downtown Manitou, which is why we stepped in to basically have guarantee that it was a community-run community center as opposed to a church-run community center.
Yep. Okay. Thank you.
And
Good.
I have to compliment St. Michael's because they have been really great through this process. But it has been a process. We've had to negotiate quite a few things to date.
But they're really enthusiastic about having a
Yeah.
true community center on the upstairs. That's the outcome they want, and obviously that's the outcome we want. So they're trying hard to accommodate our needs.
Okay, well, we'll see what comes on from here, and if there are any follow-up questions or whatever, we'll definitely be in touch with you.
Great.
And it wouldn't surprise me if we did have some follow-up. So please let us know if there's anything more. Oh, and I will say too, we had an issue on the website with attachments that were put in with applications, and I don't remember seeing that on our end. If whatever attachments you put on your application, if you could please email that to me, then I'll make sure it gets blind copied to the rest of the match board.
Okay, I'll do that, Ralph. And I'll just tell you, the attachments were simply the two pictures that you saw at the beginning of this briefing on the very first slide. And second was the list of all the requirements that came out of the community engagement that St. Michael's ran for St. Andrew's Community Center.
That would be good to see.
Definitely. I'll send that to you.
Yeah, the
And
photos.
we do have the photos, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank
coming in
you.
and
Really appreciate this opportunity.
Yes,
We'll-
thanks.
we'll be talking.
Bye.
Okay. And you're free to go.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move the rest of this as quickly as we can here. Let's go right back into the agenda and the minutes for the meeting last week. High compliments to Danielle for turning the minutes around so quickly and getting them to us. You should have gotten those minutes, and hopefully we can if anybody else has any questions, we'll consider that right now. Or any issues with the January 22nd minutes as they were presented?
I saw one and I took a screenshot, so I apologize. I don't have the exact location, but under the number 3 recusals for the board section, Flying Pig Farm is listed as Wine Pig Farm.
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the only thing I noticed.
Okay. And I also did notice Peggy Yeager from Miramont Castle. Her name is spelled Peggy, Peggie, and Yeager is Yager. So we'll need to correct that. And let me see. And I had also the flying pig. Any other questions or revisions in the minutes as they were submitted? If not, I would like a motion to approve with the corrections as stated.
I'll move to approve them with the corrections as stated.
Thanks, Kinsey. Second? Anybody?
I'll second that, Peter.
Thanks, Peter. All in favor of the minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That's unanimous. Okay. Reports. Becca from City.
Oh, just very quick. I downloaded the November sales tax that was received in January, and I was hoping to get the journal entry where it's entered into the account lines, but I just ran out of time. So I will do that tomorrow, and then I'll send out the report, the revenue and expense report that y'all should be familiar with now. I'll send that out tomorrow, blind copy it to everyone. Um, yeah, the November sales tax was not bad, not bad. So I think we're on track for making the budget.
And we know anecdotally that December was a pretty busy month downtown, or at least a chunk of December was.
Mhm. Yeah, what's affecting the city negatively is the retail marijuana, but that was a special sales tax that only went into the general fund. So the match fund is not affected by that particular loss of revenue. I mean, there's a little bit of retail marijuana going in from just the regular sales tax of 3.9, I believe, but it's not nearly as badly impacted as the general fund's being impacted, because I'm sure you've heard about the issues with the general fund.
Yeah.
So match board might not, yeah, I think y'all will hit your budget amount.
Well, and we'll know fairly soon.
Right. The December sales tax comes in February.
Yeah. Okay. Uh, thanks, Becca. And Becca does have to leave us at 6 o'clock if we're not done.
Yeah.
Was sort of a goal to try to finish in time so you wouldn't miss any of this, but you might have to miss a little bit.
So yeah, when it's time, I'll just leave the meeting.
Okay. Okay, next up, City Council, Judith.
Good evening, everyone. I just finished today reviewing every single application, and it was enough to review it. So kudos to all of you who get to rank these and vote on them. So they're really phenomenal applications. So regarding city matters, the city council did not meet this past Tuesday. City council typically does not meet on the fourth Tuesday of the month unless there is pressing business. However, city council did meet in special session on Friday, January 23rd at 3 o'clock via Zoom. There was only one agenda item, and that was to consider resolution 0626, a resolution creating a parking benefit program for downtown residents and employees contingent on the dissolution of the Metro District. After discussion, the resolution passed 6-1. If you need or want more information on this, you can certainly access the city website for the resolution. There is a local resident-led committee who's doing a phenomenal job getting information out to the community. And please, if you have any further questions, contact me or any of your other council members regarding this resolution. The only other thing I want to share with you is this, let's see, on the 31st is the 31st great fruitcake toss from from noon to 3 p.m. at Memorial Park. And I hope to see you there. Tickets are $1. However, if you bring one can of food, you'll get one ticket per can with a maximum of 10 tickets per individual or family. And that food will go to the food pantry. So please do come. And also, I think there's you can spend $5 and get a fruit cake. But mainly, I'm just plugging that for the food pantry, and hope to see you all at that event. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Judith. Any questions for Judith? Okay, let's go back into business then. First up is discussing ongoing unresolved grant eligibility questions from the submitted list. I started talking about this list that I was working with. We don't have an official list, but I have something that I'm working with here. And I followed up on a number of things that we discussed last week, and I'll let you know those right now. One, the Archaeology Day grant of $600, which we had concerns about, in particular that the event was happening outside of Manitou Springs. I had a very amicable exchange with Jerry Rhodes, the applicant, and he understood our situation and said after we talked about it that uh, he thought it would be best that to instead of trying to kind of wiggle through and try to figure out a way to comply with our clear guidelines, that he would withdraw his request. So if you go in and try to grade it on the online, you'll notice that it has been withdrawn. Uh, we talked about the request from the drum circle needing a local applicant, and we talked about Mark Lee being becoming co-applicant, being online on a revision needing to be made then, which we can do. That's not a difficult thing, but he's willing to do that. He would be recusing anyway, so his name will be on the application as a Manitou resident. So that removes the concern about the fact that the applicant was from Colorado Springs. Indigenous Peoples Day. Many emails back and forth, and we'll have a resolution on this for the next meeting, but I do not see that this is going to create a difficult situation for us. It looks like the two sides are trying to work something out, and my anticipation is that one of the applications will wind up being withdrawn, and then we'll consider the other one. But I don't have an outcome on that yet, but they're definitely working on it. Parenting Village Circle, the request, there was concern about the curriculum. I messaged back and forth with them, and they did submit something that was sent to you today. So if you haven't had a chance to review it, that's not a mini grant. It's $2,500, so it won't be coming up for a little while. So if you do have concerns, feel free to please don't feel free, please do review that information that was forwarded to you. Pawnee Pollinator Garden, there was concern about whether there were proper permissions, and went back through all the information that we got, and it's clear that the city is a partner in what they're doing. So there are no permission issues there. That's okay. We can consider that as a regular request. Uh, the direct mail connection, $750. That grant is eligible. It just needs a board decision coming up in a little while, recommending or not. The Wildlife Ascending Mural, $8,435. There was question about whether the city was on board. The city is supportive and cooperating, just not giving official permission until learning whether or not MACH is going to approve. So really, as we discussed last week, it kind of comes down to what's first, chicken or the egg, and we appear to be the chicken. Uh, but we'll we'll be able to consider that when the time comes. We also have sent requests to all the pass-through applicants for copies of their letters because they did not appear on the website, and most of them, I think now all but one have come in, and we'll once we've got all those. I don't know if it's worth the trouble because they're really just kind of form letters. I You'll kind of have to trust me on that one, and then I'll have them available to give to the city. along with an official list. That was a problem the last couple of years of not having a good solid list of who the pass-throughs were and who would be the payees. We're not going to have that problem this year. That list is already in place. And that's it for right now as far as updates. There were other grants and things that we talked about that emails are out for, and I'll have more to report later. Next on business, any additional recusals from board members to self-report that weren't covered last week? Does anybody have that to have any additions to the recusal list? If not, I do have from Neil Minch, who's still in Europe, and this is about what, a little after midnight where he is, so he's not on, but he is recusing from Saving Black History of Manitou Springs, as well as the Historic Voices of Manitou Springs podcast. And I believe he had already recused from the Heritage Museum. He's no longer on that board, but he is very involved with them. Any other recusals? And this is something that people can also add to. It's not like this is your only chance. But if there are no others, we'll go with what we've got for right now. Okay? And with that, we move into the first pass at the Tier 2 mini grants. This will be something that we can revise later on if need be, but hopefully we won't have to. We found this out last year that doing it this way and just going for a straight up or down, maybe with discussion on a couple of them, but is a good quick way to get started with this and get some of these recommendations moving forward. I'm going to go through the list as they appear, and we'll start with the Blue Hands Art collaboration with D14 art classes. It has high ratings from the group. Any discussion about that grant request? Is there anybody who has a big problem that nobody rated it low or like a 1 for rejection? So are all in favor of full funding for Blue Hands Art collaboration? Say aye, raise a hand.
Aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Good, that one's unanimous. We're getting started. Next
Are
is,
are you filling in the spreadsheet as you go, or should someone? I know Neil asked for one. I don't know if we're already maintaining it or not, or if you're just
I
making.
think we could probably, excuse me, after this set, we can update but when we get into the full list, we'll need to kind of do it as we go.
Cool. That makes sense. Thank you.
Next up, these are all $750 requests. Community costuming. It looks like one person might have had a question. Does anyone want to voice that or have a problem?
I think perhaps maybe I read it wrong. I thought they said they were starting like soonish before we approve funding. But maybe this project will run January to October. So I don't think it's a big concern. I think 750 probably will easily be spent after March, but that was the only reason I had a note.
Yeah, I had that in my comment as well. It says it will commence in January, but I think that's just a minor oversight, it would seem.
I think it's related to Carnival, that they're doing some help with people with costuming for Carnival. So it's probable that they're spending some money and then they would be reimbursed. out of this. I mean, but there are other events coming.
Yeah,
And
that's
go
fine. I
ahead.
think it's just, yeah, I think again, I'm not worried about the $750 grant. I think if it were a bigger grant, I think our policy is not to we're trying not to reimburse. So again, I'm not worried about it, knowing they're going through October.
Yeah, we might follow up with them and say, you know what, if it's tied mostly to Carnival, then you should reflect that and it should be for next year's funding. But again, I don't think it's uh, a huge deal at this point. All in favor of community costuming? Aye.
I
Bye.
Any opposed? That is unanimous. Next, we have the Manitou Springs Community Direct Mail Collection Connection for $750, and there definitely are multiple people who had concerns about this. Uh, so
I'm willing to start, Peter.
okay, thanks.
I voted this no or hesitant. I specifically think communication is important for our town, but I'm skeptical this is the avenue that we should choose for lack of a newspaper and specifically a print newspaper. I think that if that's a way that they want to not only advertise businesses, I am hesitant on it, but and the price itself too. And Ralph, you may be able to speak better on this of $30 per square inch. But that surprised me. I am ignorant in pricing of that. So
Anybody else?
I'll just
Yeah,
say I voted for this, Mark. I'll just say I voted for it, but I did make a note that I'm okay with not if needed. So this is one that I feel like once we get into the budget, if we got the money on for it, if we're trying to trim things, this would be one of the ones where I would not mind starting.
okay. I can tell you, Peter, that it seems strange to be charging that kind of an amount of per square inch for something like this, but I had other concerns that echo what your points were about whether this is the best way to go about it. I can tell you too that I got a message from Neil Minch saying that he was concerned that people would get whatever it is in the mail and just throw it away and wouldn't keep it, that there wouldn't be enough of a buy-in of, oh, this is really something that will make a difference in a crowd. And personally, I thought that for the kind of events that were talked about in the application, that we're probably looking at, if somebody could just be good at social media, they can get the word in front of the right people who would be active in the community events and keeping them aware. That seems to me to be the concern, and a piece of mail to me is not something that is going to move a crowd. Yes, Kinsey?
I was just gonna hop in with maybe a small devil's advocate. I'm feeling more and more of a pull to be off of my screens, and I love the idea of like a zine or a way of a community communicating on paper in a way, and maybe that's just me. And I was wondering, I don't know what kind of partnerships they have set up, but if they could have like an artist making covers. I'm sure it could be made in a way that's not just instantly chucked. It could be something that's fun to see in your mailbox. And I feel like for a mini grant amount, my curiosity is piqued. I would be a yes vote.
Okay, Judith?
I just want to let you know that we have several community residents in the community. Keep in mind that about 48% of our community is 50 and older. It costs, they love to get things in the mail. And just for discussion purposes only, I asked the city how much it costs the city to mail a postcard. And it costs approximately $1,100 to send a postcard size mailing to every resident mailing box in Manitou, if that helps you.
Okay. Does anybody else want to make a point? Because I think we could talk this to death. I think we, and again, as Marcus said, this could be something that could come back up later if it were to be voted down. But got to start somewhere. Anybody else want to make a point?
I did have one more quick thing.
Sure.
Address listed is on the other side of OCC.
Yes. Shanti Toll made the recommendation. I think it probably should have been on behalf of the community foundation. That is something that would have to be clarified because he is ineligible to receive a grant. It would have to be a pass through.
Yep.
And it is not as of right now. Okay, let's vote. And this is going to be a little more involved here because it's not going to be unanimous either way. So let me start by how many people are in favor of the grant. Please.
I would rather see a roll call, if possible, roll call vote.
Okay, we can do that, but I don't think we have Becca anymore, so I guess I will do it. I'll start with myself and I'll say no. Kinsey Watts,
Yes.
Ren Almitra,
I'm also a yes.
Mark Lee,
I'm a yes.
Marcus Medina,
I'm a yes.
Peter Summers,
No.
and Jason Wells.
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yes and 2 no. So that passes. Okay. Let's move on to 5th grade pottery. Oh, and we will follow up after the fact with the issue which was correct about the applicant not being from living in Manitou Springs. So 5th grade pottery. This is a repeat grant from past years. Looks like at least one might have had a problem with it. Anybody want to speak either way? Okay.
Ralph, that was probably me only because of the way that I kind of did my rating. There was no budget. So when there was no budget, I just put it down. Even though he wrote about it, I was just kind of, okay, you're supposed to submit a budget.
We actually don't even let them do budgets on mini grants.
Oh, well, see, there you go. So that was probably the low scale score.
Okay. Anybody else have a comment about 5th grade pottery?
No, it's just my broken record with all of Mark's applications, which is I'm always a little disappointed, but the project itself is solid and we know that he's a solid artist in the community. So that's
Seconded on that.
Okay, let's go ahead and vote. Let's see if is everyone in favor, say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? That's unanimous. So we're good for that one. The next one is Pac-Man. Let's get walking and rolling Manitou 2026. Another repeat grant. Got good ratings, but at least somebody was against it or has a low rating. I don't know who. Was it the same reason, Lisette? Okay.
It was, yeah.
Can I
Oh,
can
Yeah.
I
go
ask
ahead.
a quick question?
Sure.
I want to say, Lizette, that same thing tripped me up. This is only my second year on Match, and that tripped me up initially as well, not understanding that the mini grants don't submit a budget. My question is, on the website, some of the items have this red exclamation point next to them, but I wasn't able to understand like what that indicates.
If you hover on that mark, it'll show you the email addresses of the person. We're like making that red mark if there is a board member whose average score was like 3 or 4 away from the average of the group. So if you were like way for or way against compared to the general consensus, we want to give you the opportunity to talk about it and bring up why.
Does that clarify for you, Mark? Okay.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't think we've ever had a policy, and I don't think I have a strong opinion about money being used towards alcohol. And I noticed that there's like money towards Buffalo Lodge drink chips, which perhaps could go to non-alcohol too. But is that something we've ever talked about or have concerns about, that the city might be concerned about? I don't know.
Not that I recall. Uh, I get the sense that, I mean, I know they've got other sources of revenue. I mean, we could probably send them a note saying that we hope they're not using Match to buy rounds at the bar. That it's that I think that's, and we can follow up with that too.
Can
I
can I
think,
just
Yeah.
I think that that's a completely fair question by Ren, but I think if we don't have a policy regarding that, I wouldn't try to, yeah, I wouldn't indicate that there's anything wrong with that unless there's a policy against it.
Judith, anything you know of from the city side on this?
Yeah, that's a really good, thank you for bringing that up. However, there are a number of events here in consideration that serve alcohol. And I think the city writ large is less concerned about that than they are concerned about protocol. So while it's not an unusual thing to maybe have a policy in the future, there are large events, and I'll just bring up one like the Labor Day Commonweal. You know, there's alcohol that's served, and there we really don't worry about that so much as we worry about the logistics of the contract.
yeah, and this is the first time I've seen an application say funds will go towards, in this case, giving folks who use social media, giving them, it says Buffalo Lodge drink chips, $160 towards these different like incentives. That's all. I think it's, I think it's the first time I've seen it directly tied to like a monetary amount. I think,
I think it's prudent, and I
Sure.
welcome that you bringing that up. That's a really great distinction, and I think that after the grant cycle, worth considering.
Yep,
as
that's,
a
I think
policy.
we'll just ping it as a discussion. Thanks.
Okay. I think we're ready to vote on this. All in favor of the Pac-Man grant request? Say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. We have 2 more to go. The Flying Pig Yurt Showcase, Music on the Farm. Looks like there might have been one or two, but the average rating was pretty high. So any question about that one? If not, all in favor of the Flying Pig Yurt Showcase, put music on the farm, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. And then finally, we have the Thursday Summer Drum Circle and Manitou request. And this one had an exclamation. That was Gerald.
Yes.
Gerald,
Yeah.
you want to? Yeah, I see that. Did you not get the notification about the meeting?
Um, I got it. I think I got it in the email, but I don't know why, but I just didn't. I don't think I didn't see it like come through. And then when I talked to Kinsey, that's when I.
Yeah, it was part of the. It was not part of the documents that came with the packet. It was in the actual email itself. But
Okay,
we'll
that's
make
my
sure
fault.
that gets handled better. But did you have a problem with the drum circle request?
I didn't have a problem with it. Um, I think that I was it from the last meeting, or what do you mean? Like
No, I meant did you have an issue with this grant in particular, the drum circle grant?
no, I didn't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else have an issue?
Would it be inappropriate for us to pose questions to Mark if he's going to be substituting as the applicant on this?
Uh, he he is recused from voting. He would be recused from personally, I see no problem with it. It depends on if how the group feels. We're talking about a mini grant here, but I would
Well, yeah, no, I get the scope is very, I guess the simple question is just, is the only thing that we're changing here is going to be him serving as the local applicant, but the intent is still the same for there ultimately to be a 501c3 setup and for it to be an insured event and everything that's in here holds consistent, I guess is the simple way to put it. Is that still the objective?
I mean, I'm using body language, but I guess is it okay for me to take that question?
and this
It,
is an
it sounds
unusual
like yeah.
circumstance, and I think it's
Yeah.
appropriate.
It's appropriate when you're recused from voting. You're only recused from voting. You're not recused from discussion.
Okay. Then yeah, absolutely. I mean it is a mini grant, it's limited in scope. The intention behind the grant is to allow the drum circle to continue to be a part of summertime events in Manitou Springs by providing event insurance that the city rightly requires for an event of this nature.
Okay.
And a prerequisite to that being there to be an entity that can be insured. So the intent, and I think this maybe is, and it's too bad that things have to get bureaucratic in the world, but they do for, litigious sake. But I think it's wise that it's heading in this direction. I think it's just so essential to who we are as a community, this event. And I'd hate to see anything bad happen and for lack of things being organized correctly. So for me, it's really important that it was encouraging to see that it's going in this direction with there being some organizational foundation being created and some an entity that's insurable and able to pull permits as an entity, so that's just a positive thing, but I just want to make sure that's still the intent.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said last week, I know that recusal is absolutely fine and expected, and many of us here are involved in many different events and organizations that intersect with MACH. But my initial intention was not to be a co-applicant on this, but that's what you said, Jason, is exactly why I decided to go ahead and do that, is because I do feel like it's really important for the community.
Well, thank you for stepping up to do it.
Question mark you may or may not know the answer to. If this isn't passed, would Drum Circle go away?
Probably not, honestly, but it would be it's problematic to have it. I mean, unless, the city could close the park or build a large fence around it that they lock at night, or it could go away, but like it really it needs to be it needs as an event, it just does it needs to have legitimacy of this nature, to have the permit from the city, and the insurance. I mean, would people still possibly show up and drum at the park? Yeah, probably, but this is really the right thing for all involved, I think. I don't know if that answers your question directly, but
No, fair enough. I appreciate it.
Okay, if there's nobody with concerns or to bring up, let's go ahead and vote. And if we're not unanimous, then we'll go to a roll call. All in favor of the drum circle request?
Aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Good, it passes. Thank you, Mark, for stepping in on that. And before we move on, I got it. It won't be a factor off any of our actions, I guess tonight. But Peter Summers had an idea that he presented to me today that I think is worth us considering. And Peter, why don't you go ahead and explain it real quickly?
Absolutely. So in the past, when it comes time for yays and nays to be officially passed or rejected, based on our recommendations to city council, sometimes applicants would follow up and say, hey, like, why did my grant get struck down or rejected? And then it would be tasked from a couple different people to go back through the logs and, try and dig out, hey, why did we recommend no on this, or why did city council vote this down against our recommendation of acceptance or approval? So I think just like taking, 2 or 3 sentences now during the process actively of writing hey, this is why the board recommended against it. We can't necessarily control what city council passes or rejects, but taking a little inventory of the no votes from the board actively during these meetings, I think would save us, 15, 20 minutes later on down the road. So I'm happy to take down those sentences just of no votes.
And then it wouldn't be, we're not saying we would we would just go ahead and send the feedback. We would just have it available in case the question came up and we wanted to pursue it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody later did reach out, then we do have a brief summary, a talking point kind of thing to start off of. If not, then, like sharing the meeting link of what was discussed and why.
Okay, Judith, you had your hand up.
Yeah, that's a really good point. What I would recommend or suggest is that if there is an applicant for a grant that is rejected prior to it coming to council, I would recommend in the wording that you say this application did not come before council for the following reasons, because so ultimately only council can approve or reject, but you as a committee can say, we felt that this didn't elevate the grant application to come before council for the following reasons. And that's how I would word it.
Okay. And we will have grants in the regular grant group. It always happens, and it's going to, I'm sure, again, where we'll have a handful probably that we'll reject, that we'll decide that we're going to recommend no. We're not totally killing them because council could come back and say, wait a minute, we disagree with you. It hasn't happened in my 5 years, but it
But
obviously.
I would just word it that this application did not come before council for the following reasons, X. So that the person knows that it wasn't rejected from council, but it didn't meet criteria to come to council.
If I'm not don't we submit all but our recommendations of pro?
We also, as part of the presentation to council, list the ones that we're not recommending passage for. And we also, you know, we will have partial funding recommendations as well. You know, it's definitely there's been a separate list that's part of the slideshow that goes to council at that work session on March 10th. That will list any of the grants that have been rejected outright and how much they had requested. Hey, Ren, I know this is something that's been an annual conversation about the feedback issue, and we've gotten away from deciding to proactively give feedback to every applicant or, yeah. But how do you feel about this idea?
Yeah, I think I've always been pro feedback. I understand why people wanted to steer away from it. So I think this is a good middle ground. So Peter, you're collecting our short statements, and so and then we're definitely giving that to all the no people. Did I hear that right?
We will have it available if they ask.
If they ask. Okay, I gotcha. All right. I mean, yeah, that's great. If asked, I'm still pro like giving it to them, but I know that's more work for us. As a grant recipient, it's always painful to not hear why, but I understand if we make it very clear that they can ask that we can provide that. So that sounds good.
Okay.
And in the moment, Judith, I have poised as the intro kind of thing. This application did not come recommended to council for the following reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, or this application was presented as not being recommended to council, right? That you brought it because you're bringing it, but that you're saying after thorough thorough review, we did not include this as an application that we recommend for funding.
Did not come to council as recommended for the following reasons. Okay, thank you.
And we'll have the chance to tweak that if we need to, Peter. But
Yeah.
really appreciate your wanting to take that on, and I'll be happy to help.
Thanks everyone for that patience.
Okay. And with that, let's move to the last thing that's on the agenda, and that's discussion on how to approach Tier 2 regular grants for February 7th or beyond. We had set up a meeting planned for Saturday, our next meeting to be Saturday, February 7th at 9 a.m. in the morning. It was to be a marathon meeting. I have thought about this and looking at the various points. Partially, part of this is the fact that we've got a higher percentage of good applications and a lower percentage of bad applications this year. Another reason is that I know that a number of people on the board, for whatever reasons, still have a lot of grants that they need to go through and analyze and grade. I don't think it's bad that some people have already made their first pass all the way through them. And certainly it's okay to do that and then come back and revise them later if you want to. But but I see that I know there are a number of requests that only have like 3 or 4 people who've weighed in so far. And I know that 2 of those, Neil Minch and I have gone through them all, and I know Marcus Medina has gone through most all of them, but a number of other people, and Lisette has been through a lot. I'm not trying to say anybody's been bad kids, but there's still a lot of work ahead for on the review side. That plus the fact that we're not going to know our dollar amount from the city of how much we're going to be able to give in tier 2 regular grants until sometime after February 7th, probably around the 10th or 11th or 12th of February. That's when it's been the last few years, and Becca Davis has said that's roughly when it'll be again this year. To me, it's crazy for us to start voting on regular grants without knowing what our finish line is. And I don't want to have to move the goalposts in or out. If there's more money, then great. If there's less money, then we know we're going to have to tighten our belt maybe a little more. But I, my idea coming out of all this is that we probably, it does not make sense for us to meet on February 7th. I think it would be better to move that meeting to either Saturday, the February 14th, or wait until Thursday, the 19th, and have a regular Thursday night meeting instead. And then,
Do we want to note real quick that Carnival is on the 14th?
Yeah, I was going to mention that one.
then probably it wouldn't be the 14th, would it?
Especially since royalties in the group.
Yes, we know that. Well, then for sure, my recommendation to the board would be that we just plan on the Thursdays of February 19th and 26th to have 2 long meetings, and we will wade through as much of it as we can on the 19th, and we'll finish it on the 26th. If everybody can get their ratings done over the next week or 2, we can also be bouncing back and forth. We might be doing some blind copying to let people know what's happening with like Indigenous Peoples Day and those kind of things. But I think it's going to be a lot better use of our time to individually work on uh, analyzing and grading grants and getting as aware as possible and deciding which ones you think are gonna might have to be rejected and which ones might have to put up with less funding in the 50% range or 75% range. But that's, it doesn't hurt to go ahead and start figuring, and we'll know then around the 10th to the 12th what our bottom line is going to be, and we can, go from there. But I mean, if you wanted to try to meet on Thursday, uh, well, I guess we wouldn't meet necessarily on the 12th, but we could if we got the numbers, but that would be a short notice type thing. I'm just wondering, don't want to be dictatorial here, what the group thinks
Do
about this.
do we usually solidly get it done in I know you're saying long meetings. Do 2 meetings feel feasible? I kind of feel like at least planning for a potential need for a third would be smart. So I personally would be fine with getting started on the 12th. I think it was the 12th you said, whatever other Thursday that was you were mentioning,
Thursday, the
sorry.
12th.
I would
Uh,
agree with that in that I feel my brain start to go a little fuzzy on the 3+ hour long meetings. And if we split it
mhm.
over 3 nights, I think I'll have a lot more stamina for it personally.
February 12th is fine with me, the more I think about it, because I think we will have a number. We will not have had a lot of time to play with that number, but we'll get the number from her, and and we can share that. And that's not something that's negotiable. We'll be told this is how much you've got for tier two regular grants. And that's our target. And then people can start thinking, okay, if we know we've got to cut, say, let's just say $90,000, then you can start thinking in those terms of what's, because I know it's hard, and I know we've got a lot of grants that are very worthy, but uh, at some point we're going to have to face some tough calls. And uh, what we can do on the 12th probably is start with the easy ones, the ones that have the highest ratings. That's what we did last year, and it worked well. Start with the ones that have the highest ratings that are more likely to get either full funding or very close to it, and and see how far we can go even on the, in a first meeting on the 12th.
Ralph, could you clarify, or anybody really, then as I go back through these, if there is no budget in the budget, but they've mentioned dollars in the description, is that okay? Do I, like, how do you guys approach that?
We have been so we've tried as hard as we could for the last couple of years to emphasize this point, even in direct emails to applicants, saying you've got to do a better job with budgets. And I have a feeling this will be the first time where we're going to have to make some decisions, and a lot of them might be based more on budget than we've done in the past. And if somebody has a grant request for an event that is established and is done well, but their budget is just sloppy as heck, uh, this may be where we start, you know, kind of penalizing that. We've given some grants probably the benefit of a doubt here and there along the way. Not necessarily huge grants, but definitely there are some. We don't have to name names at this point, but at some point we've got to figure out how to separate the best applications from those that are maybe their event is pretty good, but if they can't make their case as well, there has to be a reward too for those that can and do go to that extra trouble. Does that answer you? Okay. It's the toughest part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Judith.
The other thing that I kept in mind is how will council look at this, right? And so, two things I think I considered when I went through all of these are A, if your project is on a city application or a private city application, do you have permission for that? And also, secondarily, do you are contracts in place that the match can review if a contractual agreement is required? And I guess third, if there is equipment that is being purchased, who owns the equipment? Those are the three things I thought about. So that might direct you and help you. I don't know, but those things were things that I thought council might look at.
And these are, I think each one of those were part of the communication that went out to past applicants before this grant process. And yet we still have, I can think of 7 or 8 right off the top of my head that did not get permission or have no indication of where their locations are. And, that's just not, it just can't be good enough. We've also had a couple of grants that they haven't been able to fulfill them because of sloppiness, and we've had some mural issues where there was no location and that, you know, we just need to try to avoid having that be a problem 3 months, 6 months from now. Peter, were you going to say something?
I didn't realize my mic was on and I giggled. Sorry.
And
Okay.
and just to emphasize, there's one in particular that I had a red flag on because it talked about purchasing equipment, and my big question was who owns the equipment. So just that was one thing that came up for me.
Mhm. Even something as simple as like I think was it last year or year before of yoga mats that were going to be purchased and not all that expensive, but they were just going to be, well, the city will own them. Well, no, not necessarily. The city doesn't want to have to worry about a bunch of yoga mats, where to store them and who's responsible for them. And so, unless the deal is done in advance and you can show that you have permission, no. And we've tried to make this clear to applicants that, we're not into helping you create inventory, sound equipment. That's why I brought up with the St. Andrews presentation a little earlier tonight, because they mentioned specifically buying equipment, durables. It's in their budget, and we just we don't. That hasn't. We have learned the hard way on that. Of that, it's better if we're not paying for equipment. Okay. Is there any opposition to making the next meeting then at 5 p.m. on Thursday, February 12th? Has not been previously designated as a meeting date because we were going to meet on the 7th. But I'll follow up with the city and make sure. And Danielle, I hope that works for you.
I have no problem with that, Ralph.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll aim for February 12th and we'll go 12th, 19th, 26th. And if we can finish on the 19th, then that's great. If we move over to the 26th, we're getting a little close then to council on the 10th, but we've still got time. Because preparing the slideshow has never been a problem. We've kind of got a template on that, and we just need to get new numbers and new lists, and we'll be fine. And new photos from completion reports. We got another batch of really nice photos from events. If you happen to go back into, if you're just want to spend an extra hour on the computer doing more than just looking at this year's grants, go back and look at last year's grants at the project completion reports, and there's some awesome photography. So that always helps us too. Anything else?
Did you announce? I know you were so good about keeping us up to date on the mural being up, but I don't know if it was formally announced. I hope everyone's been able to see the Rocky mural.
Yeah, they never really they wanted to have a public event. It still hasn't happened. I think they may be waiting for springtime to do some kind of a celebration. But the Rocky mural, that was, that was one of our biggest headaches over the past year, of a grant that was misguided and had issues with budgeting and also permission to be at the location that they planned. We wound up with a happy ending, but we do not need to be micromanaging grant requests and projects after the fact. We should be able to wrap these up, make our recommendations, and then we just look at them after they're done or go to their events. So, but no, there hasn't been it hasn't been so official. It was quite a bit on social media, which you might have seen, but pictures, but it looks phenomenal.
Yeah, it's really great. I also finally made it to see Manny Polito's rock sculpture yesterday. I think the dog and I went and saw it, so that's really great too.
Yeah. Yes, Judith.
Can I just you know what? I'm going to disagree with you. I think that we do a lot of ribbon cuttings for a lot of things. The last ribbon cutting I attended was Creek Walk Phase 3, a 10-foot sidewalk, which is great. But I truly believe that this city should start doing ribbon cuttings and ceremonial celebrations for these art installations. And I'm going to be an advocate for that because this is huge. And that should have been a ribbon cutting ceremony. And I'm just going to really be an advocate going forward for that happening in the future.
I agree with you. I don't I it didn't it hit me wrong that we were not able to celebrate that one. A lot of work went in from this group went into keeping that project alive.
Absolutely. And we're going to fix that.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing on my list to discuss with the city.
Okay. With that, our next meeting is Thursday, February 12th, 5 p.m. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make
Anybody?
a motion to adjourn.
Okay. Marcus, second.
I'll second.
All in favor? It is 6:41. Say aye.
Hey.
Thank you.
Good Good
night,
night. Thanks,
everyone.
Ralph.
Good night, y'all.